Tides of Temptation. Chapter 4, Whispers of the Forbidden. The next day dawned with the promise of academia, a welcome shift from the bistro's physical toll to the intellectual pursuits at Eclipse Community College. The campus sprawled modestly under a crisp morning sky, brick buildings laced with ivy catching the early sunlight, students bustling across the quad with backpacks slung over shoulders and coffee cups in hand, the air alive with the murmur of conversations and the distant chime of a bell tower marking the hour. Lila arrived early, her steps lighter without the weight of an apron, dressed in a short mini skirt that accentuated her hips and thighs and a fitted blouse that hugged her full breasts, her dark waves tied back in a loose ponytail that swayed with each movement. She savored the change in pace, the mental stimulation that ignited her passion for graphic design, a realm where her creativity could roam free, unburdened by spilled drinks or demanding patrons. Her first class was color theory, held in a sunlit studio room where easels and digital tablets lined the walls, the scent of fresh markers and printer ink hanging in the air like inspiration waiting to be inhaled. The professor, a vibrant woman with silver-streaked hair and an artist's flair, paced the front, projecting slides of vivid palettes that danced across the screen, hues of crimson bleeding into sapphire, evoking emotions from passion to tranquility. Lila sat near the window, her hazel eyes absorbing every detail, her notebook open as she jotted annotations in neat script, notes on complementary contrasts, the psychological impact of warm versus cool tones, and quick sketches of color wheels that mirrored her inner visions. She engaged actively, raising her hand to discuss how cultural contexts influenced shade perceptions, her voice steady and thoughtful, drawing nods from peers, a mix of young enthusiasts fresh from high school and older returnees like herself, all bonded by the shared thrill of creation. During group critiques, she leaned in to offer feedback on a classmate's project, her fingers gesturing animatedly over a tablet screen, the interaction sparking a brief camaraderie that made the room feel like a collaborative haven rather than a mere classroom. Yet even here, a quiet loneliness lingered. She wondered if anyone saw beyond her polite contributions to the woman who dreamed of more than deadlines and critiques, a partner, a family, a future where her art could support a life beyond survival. A short break followed, during which Lila wandered the hallways, the polished linoleum echoing her footsteps amid clusters of students debating assignments or sharing laughs over vending machine snacks. She grabbed a quick coffee from the campus cafe, the steaming cup warming her hands as she reviewed her notes, her mind buzzing with ideas for her upcoming portfolio piece, a digital poster that blended urban grit with ethereal elements, inspired by Eclipse City's neon nights. The caffeine jolted her senses, a gentle reminder of her resilience, pushing aside the lingering fatigue from the previous evening's encounter and the aching need for pleasure. She found a bench outside, the cool breeze brushing her skin, and allowed herself a moment to imagine a different life, one where she graduated, landed a design job, and perhaps met someone who saw her not just as resilient, but as someone worthy of love and motherhood before time slipped away. Her second morning lecture shifted to digital composition, in a tech-equipped lab where humming computers and glowing monitors created a futuristic glow, the air humming with the software of fans and keyboards. Here, the focus was on software mastery, layering elements in Adobe Suite, manipulating vectors for seamless designs. Lila's fingers flew over the keys, her screen alive with evolving graphics, as the instructor demonstrated advanced techniques like masking and blending modes. She absorbed it all, her concentration unbroken save for a quiet exchange with the student beside her, trading tips on shortcut keys that saved precious time. The class wrapped with an in-class exercise, where she experimented with textures and opacity, her curves shifting comfortably in the ergonomic chair as she lost herself in the flow, the digital canvas a sanctuary where her struggles faded into pixels and possibilities. Still, as the exercise progressed, her thoughts drifted to the ticking clock, one more year until graduation, and the quiet fear that even success might not bring the connection she craved, the family she secretly longed for before her body felt too old to carry that dream. Between classes, during a brief window in her schedule, she crossed paths with Alex in the library, a vast space of towering shelves and hushed whispers, fluorescent lights casting long shadows over study carrels. He was hunched over a tablet, his tousled brown hair falling into his eyes, sketching with that quiet intensity she admired in his work. "Need help with that assignment?" Alex offered, glancing up with a friendly smile as she approached, his voice low to match the library's serene atmosphere. Lila nodded, pulling up a chair beside him, their knees brushing lightly under the table, a fleeting contact that sent a subtle spark through her. She had noticed him before, his innovative sketches always catching her eye in critiques, but today, with the ache from last night's encounters still lingering in her core, she felt a secret pull, a desire for something more than just academic aid. "Yeah, I'm stuck on this layering issue," she replied, leaning in closer than necessary, her sweater shifting to reveal the gentle curve of her collarbone, her hazel eyes meeting his with a playful glint. As he demonstrated on her laptop, his fingers guiding hers over the mouse, the touch lingered, warm and deliberate, his breath fanning softly against her ear as he explained blending modes in a hushed tone. Lila played along at first, her questions innocent, but she teased him slowly, her leg pressing against his under the table, a subtle shift that made his cheeks flush. "You're really good with your hands," she murmured, her voice a velvet whisper, ostensibly about the design but laced with double meaning, her full lips curving into a knowing smile as she watched him swallow hard. Alex chuckled nervously, trying to focus, but his eyes darted to the swell of her breasts beneath her sweater, his intentions pure, he just wanted to help a classmate, but Lila's secret craving ignited, her core clenching at the thought of leading him into temptation right here amid the forbidden quiet. The cat-and-mouse game built tantalizingly, her fingers accidentally brushing his thigh as she reached for a pen, her body angling closer until their shoulders touched, the heat between them rising like steam in the cool library air. "Show me again," she purred, her hand covering his on the mouse, guiding it with a firmness that made his breath hitch. Alex stammered a response, his lanky frame tensing, but he didn't pull away, his quiet nature yielding to her lead. Emboldened, Lila stood, tugging him gently by the sleeve into the deeper shadows of the stacks, the towering bookshelves forming a private alcove where the scent of aged paper enveloped them like a cocoon. Once hidden, she took charge, pressing him against the wooden shelves with a soft but insistent push, her curves molding to his lean form. Her lips claimed his in a slow, teasing kiss, plush and demanding, her tongue tracing the seam of his mouth until he parted for her, a surprised moan muffled between them. The fear of discovery amplified every touch, the distant rustle of pages like a ticking clock, a librarian's footsteps echoing faintly, as Lila's hands roamed, slipping under his shirt to trace the warm planes of his chest, her nails grazing his skin lightly, making him shudder. She hiked up her mini skirt with deliberate grace, guiding his hand to her thigh, whispering, "Touch me," her voice a husky command that he obeyed, his fingers trembling as they slipped beneath her panties, tracing her slick folds, circling her throbbing clit with hesitant but growing confidence, drawing a stifled gasp from her. Lila reciprocated, her palm pressing against his hardness through his jeans, feeling it twitch and harden further under her touch, unzipping him slowly to stroke his shaft, smooth, warm, and veined, pulsing hot in her grip like a live wire. She led the rhythm, her body grinding against his hand as she stroked him, the erotic tension coiling tight in the hushed space. With a wicked smile, she dropped to her knees briefly, her tongue flicking out to taste him, a teasing swirl around the head that made his knees buckle, before rising to guide him inside her. He entered her slowly under her direction, the stretch filling her aching core as she rocked her hips, controlling the shallow thrusts to minimize noise, the shelf creaking softly like a shared secret. Her walls clenched around him greedily, the risk of interruption, a cough or glance from around the corner, making every sensation explode, their breaths ragged but quiet, bodies grinding in rhythmic secrecy, her nails digging into his shoulders as pleasure built in waves. Suddenly, soft footsteps approached from the next aisle. A young woman rounded the corner, scanning the shelves for a book, her eyes widening as she caught sight of them, Lila's skirt bunched at her waist, Alex buried deep inside her, both frozen mid-thrust. The girl blushed furiously, her cheeks flaming red, but she didn't scream or run, instead, she quickly averted her gaze, grabbed a book from the shelf, and hurried away, the sound of her retreating steps fading into the library's hush. Lila's heart hammered, the near miss sending a forbidden thrill through her, her folds clenching tighter around Alex as she whispered, "Don't stop." They resumed, the danger making every movement hotter, her lips gently flowing freely over his swollen masculinity. Then she slowly slid off of Alex's soaked and glistening member and spun around, now bent over and gripping the shelves for support, she pushed back against him, her mini skirt riding higher as Alex took control, his thrusts growing deeper and more urgent. Her walls fluttered around his thick length, her arousal dripping down his shaft and tracing wet trails along his sack. With a final, powerful thrust, Alex buried himself deep inside her, groaning low as he came, hot spurts flooding the well of her core, filling her completely. The sensation pushed Lila over the edge, her orgasm crashing through her juices gushing past her folds, soaking his length and dripping down his thigh as she trembled against the shelves, biting her lip to stifle her cry. Release crashed over them like a storm, her body shuddering around him, walls pulsing in ecstatic contractions, milking his climax. Their foreheads pressed together in the afterglow, hearts pounding with the thrill of the forbidden. Exhausted but invigorated, Lila straightened her clothes and slipped away to her next class, the day's expansions of her dual life weaving new threads of desire into her routine.